I used to think that my trauma responses, the anxiety, the need for control, the hypervigilance, were what was preventing me from being successful as an entrepreneur. I was told that I was too sensitive, too much, or not enough of the right things to make it in business. And for a really long time, I believed the hustle heroes who told me that I just didn't want it bad enough. So if you're new here, my name is Arci. I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, and I lived with the effects of complex post-traumatic stress for nearly 30 years. And that's actually what led me to entrepreneurship in the first place. I needed to feel like I was in control of how and when I made my money. And because the traditional 9-to-5 environments were really dysregulating to my nervous system. But in chasing the hustle culture dream, I lost sight of myself. I pushed harder. I got another degree, another license. I took on more work, hoping that success would just naturally follow. But instead, I ignored what my brain and body were trying to tell me. But instead of all of the success I was promised, I was re-victimized. And at 37 years old, I was kidnapped, raped, tortured, and after 4 days of hell, I survived attempted murder. That breaking point forced me to see the truth. I had believed that my trauma was preventing me from success. So I tried to ignore it or suppress it. Or worse, I tried to prove it wrong. It turns out that it wasn't my trauma that was the problem. It was the model that I was trying to build my business and my life on that nearly got me killed. What if the very things that we've been told are our weaknesses that make us not enough or too much are actually the foundation for what will make us the most successful in business? Today, I want to talk about a new model and how to build a business that works with your brain and body, not against it. I'm going to walk you through the exact frameworks that I use to build my business and that I teach to other women so that they can gain emotional and financial freedom after trauma. I want to be very clear. This is not about fixing yourself or trying to rewrite the past. This is about leveraging who you are, trauma and all. So we're going to explore how you can stop seeing yourself as broken and start building a business that's not only successful, but safe and sustainable. And the cool part is the healing part sort of just happens along the way. If you're an entrepreneur or aspiring entrepreneur or business owner who is also a survivor, you know this feeling. You see others promoting the hustle hero mindset and crushing it. And then you feel this wave of shame for not being able to keep up. And the truth is, your reality is different. Your nervous system can feel hijacked. One difficult email or a negative comment on an Instagram post can send you into a spiral. I know this feeling very well. Your energy comes in intense peaks and then debilitating lows. And maybe you've even shamed yourself for being inconsistent, incompetent, unworthy, and maybe you believe that success is just not available to you. But what if the problem isn't you? What if the problem is the model that you're trying to force yourself into? What if the so-called flaws aren't barriers, but actually the fuel to your success? So that shift in perspective is what I hope you get out of this video. Most business advice is designed for a nervous system that hasn't been rewired by trauma. But for those of us with a spicy nervous system, hustle culture is a recipe for burnout. The first step is that we need to stop treating our trauma responses like they're character flaws or like there's something wrong with us. And I want you to understand that these are survival skills that you have earned. Yes, you've earned them the hard way, but that they can actually be flipped. So first of all, let's look at 3 common trauma responses. The first one that comes up so often with so many of my clients who are survivors trying to become entrepreneurs is this fierce sense of hyper-independence. It's this belief that if we rely on anyone else, it's dangerous, even though we secretly also hope that someone or something is going to come along and rescue us. Now, this is a need for certainty. Now, in our business, this often translates us to us believing that we have to do everything ourselves. But when we flip this, it becomes this innate ability for resourcefulness, and it's the ability to trust in your own ideas, even when other people can't see your vision. The next one that I see so often with my clients is the crippling fear of rejection or fear of being visible or putting yourself out there. So unfortunately, this means that we don't put ourselves out there. We don't put ourselves on social media. We don't market our businesses. We don't send emails. Instead, we redesign our brand colors like 100 times, or we get stuck in the I'm starting my business phase forever. But this is actually a sign of deep empathy. which when we use this correctly, it allows us to create offers that are valuable and aligned with our audiences. And marketing just becomes clear and easy and also feels consensual. You don't have to subscribe to sleazy sales tactics or sales psychology. You just naturally build trust. Another trauma trait that so many of my clients come to me with worrying about is they don't feel like they can be consistent. Their energy ebbs and flows. So I want you to understand something. You're not lazy and you're not undisciplined. Trauma literally disrupts the natural cycles we have in our brain and body. And this is also why working a 9-to-5 job or being in a corporate environment can feel so stifling and dysregulating. But when you can learn to work with your natural rhythms of intense focus and then deep rest, this actually allows you to do more in less time, and you actually stop wasting time focusing on the wrong things. I want you to think about it this way. There are two ends to every stick. On one end, you might have a maladaptive trauma trait, hyper-vigilance, overthinking, people-pleasing, but these are actually what I call CEO superpowers in disguise. So all of these traits turn into things like risk assessment and problem solving, or strategic thinking and emotional intelligence. And these are the traits that describe some of the world's most accomplished and well-respected CEOs. And that's why we need to build a business model that nurtures the superpower end of those sticks. Here is how we can do this so that we can go from survivor to CEO. So very first step in this is that you need to find your brave. So the B.R.A.V.E. framework helps you establish your brand voice, who you are, what you stand for, and how you position yourself in the market. B.R.A.V.E. is an acronym, so let's go ahead and break this down. So B stands for badass. This is about owning your story. Your lived experience is a source of profound expertise and wisdom. What you have survived matters, and it taught you something that you can share with others. You don't have to share your story or all the details, but you can leverage the outcome. That pain that you've gone through, that trauma and that lived experience actually becomes your purpose. So many of the most successful businesses are the ones where people create something that they needed but couldn't find. In fact, that's why I do what I do. R is for real. And what this means is that we have to tell ourselves the truth. This is where we call our own bullshit and we get real about the stories that our brain and nervous system are telling us. We need to learn to separate fear from facts. Are you bad at something? Or is that just a story you're telling yourself because you're afraid of growth? And it's okay to be afraid. Fear is not just a trauma response. It's human. It's a human response. So being real with yourself is about giving yourself permission to call your own bullshit and intentionally flip the stick. A stands for ambition. Survivors are often taught to play small, that asking for things was demanding and gross. Asking for our needs to be met does not mean we're ungrateful. This is bullshit. Diminishing our own needs so that we don't make anyone else uncomfortable is people-pleasing behavior. And you can have empathy without playing small. This is your permission to dream big without shame. So what impact do you want to make? What is the income goal that you have? Your ambition is the fuel for your mission. And I know that sounds really cheesy, but it gives your brain a direction to head in. So it is okay to dream big. V stands for values. Your values are your anchor. What are your non-negotiables? What makes you angry? What do you give a profound shit about? When you know this, this is going to align you with the right people. And it's also what's going to keep you going. Consistency can be very hard for survivors. So we need to have something that we can be persistent about, something that we can keep coming back to. And E is for entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is someone who solves problems and makes money. So what problem do you want to solve? And how much is that solution worth? Now, I want to be clear. This is not about what is your worth as a human. It's not about what is the competitor charging or how much will you pay yourself hourly. Don't ever pay yourself hourly, by the way. What is the solution worth to someone with this problem? If any of this so far has sounded very familiar to you, like the burnout, the shame, or feeling at war in your own body, let me know in the comments, because that's one way that we can actually practice being real. I want you to know that you're not alone. So let me know, what is the biggest struggle that you've had with either your trauma or entrepreneurship? Because there is something about saying these things out loud that actually gives us power over them. And knowing that we're not alone, like when we share things in comments, you're going to see other people are struggling with this too. So I want you to just know you're not fighting this battle alone. Now, the next step in going from survivor to CEO is the SMART systems that run your business. Once you have found your B.R.A.V.E. and you know what your business stands for, you need a way to run the business that doesn't fry your nervous system and give you what I call a hustle hangover. So every business has 5 core functions. I call them the business buckets. First one is create. These are your offers. What do you create to give to your audience or your customers? Then there's capture. This is gaining leads. Then we have connect. This is about nurturing those relationships. Number 4 is convert. This is where we turn those leads into paying customers. This is the sales portion. And then we have convey. And that is where we deliver our products, our services to our customers. Now, for survivors, any one of these can feel completely overwhelming. So when you look at them in the big picture, it seems like there's just a lot to do. But I want to be very clear here. Traditional methods and models aren't designed for what I'm calling a spicy nervous system and often paralyze us because they're just not trauma informed. In fact, so many of the traditional methods, especially for sales and marketing, use outdated sales psychology, and they lean in on pain points or pressuring people into buying out of fear. Now, as survivors, when we do this, we feel like the villain. We don't like it when people do it to us, and that is not how we want to show up. So the solution to this is to build what I call SMART systems for each of the business buckets. And yes, this is another acronym. SMART stands for sustainable, mission-driven, archetype-aligned, resourceful, and trauma-informed. So let's break this down. Now, S stands for sustainable. This means that the systems that we build in your business need to be built around your actual capacity. We have to honor your energy cycle. We look at your infradian and ultradian rhythms. So inside the Survivor to CEO program, we actually map your unique patterns, your unique rhythms in your brain and your body, and we build a schedule and a cadence that's designed to match your brain and body instead of trying to align to some like arbitrary 5 a.m. routine and then some posting schedule on social media. This is for your brain and body. Now, this is where your business is designed to meet your needs. It's not asking you to conform your nervous system to some algorithm. Okay, the second component of SMART systems is the M, and this means mission-driven. This means that your offers, your lead capture, your audience building, and even how you deliver your product and services is always anchored to your why. One thing we don't do here is the spray and pray method. We ensure that our efforts are intentional and that we don't waste our time talking to people that don't want to listen to us. Next in SMART systems is A. So this means archetype aligned. And this one is key. So I'm going to break this one down a little bit deeper here. I have identified 4 archetypes that survivor entrepreneurs fall into. Building systems that align with your unique archetype is a game changer. It literally ensures that you aren't burning out just trying to keep up with someone else's superpowers. You're using your own. So this is where I often see so many people quit. They see someone else's success or, again, their posting schedule, for example, and they think that they need to become just like them, that they need to dance on TikTok or make a YouTube channel. But then we shame ourselves when it doesn't just come naturally to us. And we think that we aren't good enough. There's this quote that I love, and it kind of defines this perfectly. And it says something like, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it's stupid. So aligning with your archetype ensures that you're not a fish trying to climb a tree. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and break down the 4 different archetypes. And if you want to learn yours, I'll leave a link in the description. It's like a 3-minute quiz, and it's going to give you a report. It's going to help you determine where you might be struggling the most. It's going to break down exactly how you can turn those trauma traits into CEO superpowers. And it's going to tell you exactly what systems you should be building that are aligned with your natural strengths. So go ahead and check it out. Like I said, it takes like 3 minutes to take the quiz, and you'll get a whole report from that. Okay, so here are the 4 archetypes. Number 1 is the visionary. Now, if this is you, you're a big idea kind of person. You excel at teaching and sharing and learning, but you are going to need systems that ground your ideas and help you manage details and follow through. The second one is ally. And if this is you, you are a natural connector. You build relationships really easily. For you, you're going to need systems that embrace collaboration, but set boundaries to manage your time and energy outputs. The third one is catalyst. And if this is you, you're an excellent motivator. You get people excited and you can get them on board with ideas. For you, you're going to need some systems that help you manage your energy, and they need to automate your delivery systems. The fourth is an archer. And this is someone who gets shit done. The problem is you're also a perfectionist. So you're going to need systems that automate for efficiency and that they create structure specifically for those messy human interactions. So the R in SMART stands for resourceful. Building a safe, sustainable, and successful business means that you're going to need to be resourceful. And all too often, we don't start our businesses or put ourselves out there or chase our dreams because we think that we're missing some external resource. But you aren't. Yes, there are tools out there that will make your life easier or might make something more efficient, but we cannot use this as an excuse to not get started. You don't need a fancy camera to record your videos. You don't need a fancy website to convert leads into clients or customers. And you don't need more time, more money, or even more energy. The biggest leaps and bounds in my business have happened when I found the bare minimum, most basic resources, like a Google spreadsheet or using my cell phone camera and free editing software. A perfect example of this is a few years ago, I had a podcast. I didn't have a fancy setup or a mic or even soundproofing, but I had something important to say. So I set up a chair in my neighbor's basement. I hung up a blanket, and I had to wade through 2 inches of water when it rained because her basement would flood. I used my cell phone and a pair of cheap headphones from Amazon, and I just hit record. That podcast led to some of the most amazing connections with other creators, and that have brought me huge opportunities. Now, it also brought in clients that heard the real me, not some perfectly polished person that felt out of reach to them. So I want you to know your systems need to be the simplest version of the resources you can find, because you cannot waste your energy on learning new software or setting up elaborate tools. Your energy is a resource, and the best use of your energy is to just simply move the needle forward. Okay, now lastly, the T in SMART. Your systems for capture, connect, convert, and even how you deliver your product need to be trauma informed. Every system you build must respect your own trauma traits and also prioritize your audience's psychological safety. When you are in survival mode, your potential clients and customers can smell it a mile away, and you will attract the wrong people into your business if you don't do this. So when you create your offer, set realistic expectations. When you're connecting with people, don't send them a million follow-up emails that feel like harassment. And then when you're delivering for a client, you have to set clear boundaries and have a predictable process so that you can maintain your authority and their results are measurable. So when you find your brave and create your brand, and you pair that with smart systems that are aligned with your archetype, you stop fighting yourself. You stop trying to climb a tree when you're meant to swim in the ocean. Now, this is about building systems that naturally lean in on the superpower end of the stick. This will make sure that your business feels safe to your nervous system. It'll make sure that it is sustainable. And as a result, you will be more successful. All right, I'm going to get sappy here for a second, so bear with me. The last thing you need is another hustle hangover. And I promise you, the world does not need some other entrepreneur wearing burnout as a badge of honor. There are people out there that need your perspective, your empathy, and your hard-earned wisdom. You have lived in shame for too long if you have believed even for one day that your trauma is the reason you can't chase your dreams, because that's fucking bullshit. Your trauma is not a weakness, and your story is not something to be ashamed of. Look, I know it hasn't been easy, but your trauma has given you a very unique set of skills that can't be taught to some hustle bro in an MBA program. And it sure as hell cannot be spoon-fed to you by some ChatGPT bot. Trauma is a uniquely human trait, and it is a lived experience. The journey from survivor to CEO isn't about erasing your past or trying to become some perfect version of yourself. It's about knowing that you have grown because of your trauma. It's about building a business that works with your brain and body. So if you're trying to build your business because you want to build an empire, or maybe even because you just need to build a life raft, please know that you are not broken. The system is. So when you're ready, I want to invite you to take the next step. In the description below, you're going to find 2 links. One is the Archetype Quiz. It takes 3 minutes, and it will shift everything for you. It's going to help you find your ocean to swim in, or maybe the right tree to climb. Now, the second link is to sign up for the SMART Business for Brave Women workshop. I only run this workshop a couple times a year, and not because of some fake scarcity, but because it's very intensive. It takes 3 days, and I give you my all in this workshop. We do a deep dive, and we map out your entire business plan, including your Brave business model and all of your SMART systems. And you're going to walk away knowing exactly where to focus your energy and what to work on for the next 90 days. Now, on top of all that, you'll gain access to an incredible support system of what I call survivor sisters and business besties along the way. And that alone is invaluable. Let me tell you, look, you've got this and I got your back. I hope to see you there.